So Steve, one of the unique things about crew and rowing in college is this thing we call seat racing. One of the ways coaches like you use to select athletes. Can you tell us about seat racing and why you think it's a good way to select athletes for the first, second, and third boats?
Let me describe seat racing, because people who are listening to this might not know exactly what that is. So you'll have two boats. We call them lineups, two boats, boat A, boat B. You'll take a given distance, let's say 1,000 meters. You'll set a stroke rate. You'll do full warm-ups, and then you'll run piece one, 1,000-meter piece one. Boat A beats boat B. And this is the way I do it when I do it. Then complete recovery, 3 to 4 minute recovery, back, same lineups, do it again without a change. Because the first piece, there can be variations on the theme, and you begin to see patterns develop. Then after two pieces, you'll bring the boats together, switch people across, 5 men in one boat against the 5 men in the other boat, re-warm up.
And they don't know in advance who's going to be.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Some of them can guess from time to time as the process goes on. And then you run the same pieces and you see if there's a variation in the speeds of the boat. You also now have the technology, the speed, meters per second that you're going. And you look at that, and no one set of seat races is going to determine the fate of that specific oarsman. In fact, it's just over time, there's a constant changing of the lineups, and you begin to see patterns. But you do begin to see patterns. You have to consider all the variables. People are not machines. So from piece one to piece two, there's going to be a variation if you don't make a change. But what you can do, you certainly with seat racing, you can get broad strokes, very broad strokes. And in seat racing, what you're probably going to do is cull out more the people that are having an adverse effect on a boat than making a decision on two very good people that have slight variation. And then you have to consider the distance, fatigue levels, and so forth. So it's far from an exact science, but it's done over a long period of time, and you begin to see patterns. And then you make your decisions on that. And then ultimately, most seasons, 5 or 6 people that are in the boat, there's just no question. What it also does is it really tests the emotional durability of the people involved. I think seat racing in that sense, is very valuable. It builds a tolerance for being objectively, quote unquote, objectively measured. That's very uncomfortable for most people.
So Steve, there's a saying among rowers that coaches never seat race unless they know the outcome. How often do you know the outcome? And how often are you right? 50% of the time, 80% of the time, 90% of the time?
The whole day I'd say is probably about 85%. But when it comes down to two people of very roughly the same capability, who knows? That's why one of the things winning is such a relief, because you don't have to spend the rest of the year second guessing, whether you made the right decision or not. But with the athletes in seat racing, I think what you have to do with that is that they understand their vagaries. There are vagaries to this process. Who knows? Maybe somebody's, fatigue level, they didn't get enough rest the night before, and so forth and so on. And what I'll say to them is that this is a decision that I'm making now that I certainly don't expect you to agree with, but I do expect you to align